Right. So we're going to try to understand conditional formatting. We're going to mainly focus on the how to use the formulas in conditional formatting. So what I'm going to do is just show you that just refresh the basics. So if I go to Format, Conditional Formatting, um, my aim is to get it so as all the A's go green. So it's the easy. There's a couple of ways I could do this. In this case, I could just do text contains A, and there it is, quite easy. I could also say text is exactly A, or I could say, in this case, I could say text ends with A, or text contains A. All those would get me the right answer. Of course, if I if I said text is exactly A and then wrote on one of them apple, then that one will then stop going green because it's not exactly A. Anyway, what I want to focus on is how to. I want to do it so as the. So we're going to use a formula to do it. So what we do is we go to conditional formatting, and we want to use a formula. Whereas if any of these cells satisfy a particular formula, so let's start off with the top. We'll start off with the top. We'll go to, let's say, G4. Does G4, oops, we're going to need to do an equal sign first. All formulas start with an equal sign in Excel and Google Sheets. So G4, so formula is equal to, G4 is equal to A. And we need to put A in quotation marks because it's a string. And weirdly enough, the rest of them went green, not just G4. So why is that? Well, it's because so I'm just going to go back so we can see the formula. As you go down, it starts off with this one here, G4 is equal to A, but it uses relative cell references. So in other words, let's remind ourselves, what does relative cell reference mean? Well, if I had let's say A, B, C. In fact, let's do it up here. If I say that cell there, oh, it's merged for some reason. That cell there is equal to that cell there. It says it's equal to G4, right? But if I copy that down, it now says it's equal to G5. So what I'm doing here is I'm using relative cell references. And this is the same in the conditional formatting, which is why it's working for all of the cells. So as it goes to each cell, it asks the question. It doesn't just ask the question, does G4 equal A? It asks for the next cell, it says, does G5 equal A? Does G6 equal A? And so on. If I changed in this, if I put dollar signs in front of it like that, it will change because now it's saying only G4 is equal to A. So in other words, I go to G4 and I just click A, they all go green because it's saying that G4, and it's not just an absolute cell reference this time. It is an absolute cell reference, not a relative cell reference. Turn it back to relative cell references, and it only highlights the these ones here. Now, relative cell references and absolute cell references take quite a while to get your head around. It's quite difficult to explain, so you kind of have to feel your way as you go. Let's have another look at this one here. This is equal to G4. When I copy it, that one's equal to G5. When I copy it there, it's equal to G6. If I take this and I lock it, make it an absolute cell reference, now when I copy that down, it just keeps doing G4 the whole time. So that's a bit of relative cell references. What I'm going to do as well is let me just move this up here, and I'll move all this here. What I'd like to also show while we're on the topic of relative cell references is to look at how you can lock you can make a cell, you can make a row relative and a column relative. So, all right, what do I mean by that? Let's say that. Oops, that's not quite what I want to do. So I'll demonstrate what I mean. Just make this a bit more visible. So let's say that I want column H, I, J, K, and L all to equal column G. I can say H, or in fact, let's say that is equal to G. And if I copied it across like this, this is probably not. If I copied that over here, it's now blank because it's equal to K4. So what I can do, if I locked it like I did before, that's now equal to A. And now if I copied it, drag it across, they all equal to G4. If I copied it down, this one down here is also equal to G4. Maybe I don't want to, I just want the rows to be locked. So I want all these ones to equal that cell. No, sorry, not the rows. I want the columns to be locked. So I want them all to be always looking at column G. But as far as the row goes, I want it to look in the same row. So when this says equal to, so what we can do is we can take the row and unlock the row by removing that dollar sign. So a dollar sign tells you whether or not it's locked, whether it's a conditional or a relative cell reference. The dollar sign means it's not a conditional, sorry, it's whether it's an absolute or relative cell reference. So it says the dollar sign G4, which means always look at column G. And when it says 4, it means the fourth row relative, because I'm in the fourth row right now. So when it says 4 there, it just says the same row that you're in. So when I go down and copy it down into this one, it says G5. So I guess I'm just thinking of another way how to make it more easy to understand. I can teach another formula while I'm at this as well. Actually, if I do equals cell, and let's put address. I have to actually put this cell. Oh, never mind. I was trying to be clever. I won't bother with that. So let's say that this cell is I2. If I want this J2 to equal I2, when I say it's equal, so I'm going to just put this in quotation marks. I want this to equal to I2. What I mean is that I want it to be one column to the left and I want it to be in the same row. That's what that cell reference means. So now if I in other words, if I go equal I2, and then I copy that, and let's just change what's in I2 now. Let's just write hello. Said hello. If I copy this down here and put it there, it's going to say A because it does the same thing as before. It keeps it in the same row and it's one column across. Okay. So what I would just suggest is that you play around with this relative and I keep saying relative and absolute cell references to get your head around it. It does take a little while, but so we've got. So what we want to do for this when we're doing this conditional formatting here is we can just leave it as a relative cell reference. Well, we need to leave that as a relative cell reference for that one. If we wanted to do the whole row, if we wanted to highlight this whole row here for whatever column this is, let's delete all these ones now. Let's say I want all of this to be highlighted green, if dependent on what this is in, then what I would do is go G4 to rather than G4 to G17, let's do G4 to L. yeah, L17. And then we're going to say, we're going to lock the, we're going to lock, what do we want to lock? We want to lock the column. And now it highlights the whole row. Okay. So I'll just click, I'll just stop that video and I'll save that.